20 years ago, I started producing music, but my tracks didn't sound anything like my idol. Going from hobbyist to pro was one of the hardest things I've done, but it doesn't have to be for you. I'm gonna show you 5 of the biggest mistakes I hear new producers make. These are the same insights that helped me through making music for some of the world's biggest stars, over 1 billion streams, and topping the charts. Let's get into it. Mistake number 1. Your kick doesn't punch. So the number 1 thing I often hear people get wrong is their kick drum. It might be a nice track or arrangement, but the kick is just not cutting through. You can't hear it. And 99% of the time, it's not even how it's mixed, it's the sample construction. Let me show you what I mean. Let's listen to this track together, focusing on the kick. If I solo it and we listen to it together, it actually doesn't sound bad at all. It's like a nice, warm, round kind of kick. But the problem is in the mix, it's getting totally lost. Where is it? So here's how we're gonna fix it. And this is actually from my music producer crash course. So this is a technique called kick deconstruction. Basically, this is all about layering what I call a kick body. So the subbier part of the kick with a kick click. This is actually really cool. Every tip in my course comes written out like this, so you can easily refer back to it. But they also each come with a video of me showing the technique like this. If we just click the title, yeah, I can just go here and it opens up the video. So to apply it to our track here, what we need to do is add a second sample. We need to layer this kick with something higher and clickier. All right, I got one. It sounds like this by itself. Just a little click, really, and I'm enhancing it a little bit with Lander Effects Beats, which is one of those one knob, really fun plugins. Without it, it still sounds good, to be honest, but with just a little punchier. But here's a real test. Let's actually listen to the whole track with both of these kicks. Yeah, compared to where it started, this is immediately so much better. Mistake number 2. Your vocals sound dull, like you're in a cave or underwater. If you don't think this is you, believe me, I hear some variation of dull vocal every single week on my streams where you guys submit your music for me to review. It's every Thursday, by the way, and you should totally join. But let me show you exactly what I mean.
Zoom, 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 come with me tonight. Boom, 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 gotta make it right. You want it bad, you do. I know I got you good.
I mean, I kid you not. I hear vocals just as small and quiet and dull in every single stream. So I recorded this on one of my more budget mics, and I'm gonna guess most of you guys are gonna have a similar starting point when you process your vocals. It doesn't sound super great, but luckily this is an easy fix. And it all comes down to EQ. What I've got right here is a tip from my course called Magic Vocal Frequencies. And in it, I explain which frequencies you can boost that will make pretty much any vocal sound better. One of the first things I'm gonna do in this chain is just boost a little bit in the mids, around 800 hertz or so. This is a sweet spot for my voice because I know it so well, but somewhere between here and 1200, 700 to 1200, this is a good place to start. And I'm gonna boost 2 to 3 dBs. Nothing crazy. So next up, I'm gonna boost the upper mid. So 3000 hertz, and I'm just boosting a little bit. This is a nice kind of crunchy cut frequency. If I turn it up all the way, you can really hear it poking out.
I know I got you good.
But we don't need all of that, just a little bit. After this, we're gonna boost 8000 hertz, and this is probably the most important frequency for making vocals sound more bright and crisp. If you're into pop music, you want this. And finally, we're gonna boost 10,000 hertz. So the really, really high frequency. Again, just a little bit, not too much. And now if we listen with the track, it sounds like this.
Zoom, 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 come with me tonight. Boom, 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 gotta make it right. You want it bad, you do. I know I got you good.
Yeah, Yeah, this is so much more correct already. And remember, this was with a budget mic. So hey, you don't need a $3,000, $10,000 setup. You could just apply these EQ techniques to any mic you have. Hell, you can even put it on an iPhone recording, and I promise you it will make even that better. Mistake number 3, your snare is way too soft. This is again another one I see on the live streams all the time. People's snare is just kind of hidden. It doesn't really hit. Sometimes an artist has a really nice track, but then their snare is so like quiet and soft and hidden. It's really lacking that like energy, that punch. And remember, the snare is actually one of the biggest energy drivers of your track. So yeah, if it's quiet, like you are hurting your track. So this is a trick I use all the time. I call this snare smack. Honestly, I explained it super well in the course, so we're just gonna watch that together. All right, so this next tip is going to be about snare smack. It's kind of my theory that most of the time in pop music, you don't really want like a weak, soft snare. It is a really energetic part of your drum package, and you really just want it to like crack. Most songs, there are of course exceptions, but I do love to take snares and make them more energetic. I use Neutron just like I showed you guys on the kick, but it is a little bit different. So let's listen to the snare without any processing. I picked something a little bit softer on purpose, and this is what it sounds like after the processing. Not only is it louder, it also just has a lot more attack and energy. So I did use the transient shaper module on this, just like I did with kicks, but I picked a different area to affect with the transients. You guys know this transient designer module of Neutron is my life. It's kind of the reason my drums are always like bam. So I picked kind of like mids and up, about 350 or something up. You can also do this not frequency specific. You can literally just affect the entire snare. I just chose frequency specific because I didn't feel like I needed to increase the transients in the lower bits because that's usually where the kick lives. So as you can see, I have increased the attack like tremendously. It's 9. It's a lot. Without it and with it. Obviously, you don't have to go this harsh. It all depends on the mix. If you have, a lot going on, loud elements, you might not need all of this. I'm showing it, without a song, without a mix. But you can play with the sustain just like with a kick. And usually I like to turn my sustain down. And you can see what this does, right? It has this little like spike. And then boom, it turns it immediately down. And I think that's what gives it that like cracky, smacky energy. Now, you don't have to use Neutron. You could use any transient shaper, but just do use a transient shaper. As you saw in this video, it makes like a vast amount of difference for what your snare sounds like. And I promise it's going to enhance the energy of every track you use it on. Yeah, and the thing is, there are many simple tricks like that you can use, and not just for drums, but for vocals, synth, bass, mixing. And this is why all of this info is included in my music producer crash course, which has 99 tips like that, which I've developed over like 20 years of grinding in the music industry, working with hit artists and groups. And just to help you guys out, I am currently running a sale on this course. So click the link in the description before it goes away. The discount is only here for a few days. Mistake number 4. Your vocals are bone dry. This one is something I see so much on my streams. I feel like I need a button that screams dry. Anytime a song with a vocal like that comes up. There's nothing inherently wrong with processing your vocals in a dry way, but you have to remember, a vocal that is dry is kind of like a person that is naked. You can hear everything, every artifact, every harsh consonant, you get it. Which is why a little bit of reverb, delay, and other types of processing can really elevate how your vocal sounds, especially if you record on a budget mic. The best way to set this up, in my opinion, is to set up what I call vocal send blueprints. And if you don't know what a vocal send is, let's watch a little bit of this video. I used to actually really struggle understanding this when I was a young producer. Honestly, all you have to know about this is that you take the sound of a track, any track, lead vocals in our example, and you're sending it to another track where the signal can be processed separately. So in this case, I will have my lead vocals and they will be dry like this. So now that you understand what a send is, let's apply that concept flipped to the dry vocal from before. And in Ableton, what you do is you turn these knobs right here to send the vocal to your sends, to your buses. The verb I'm using is gonna be Valhalla Vintage Verb. You guys know this is like one of my favorites. And the main thing to remember is just set the mix to 100%. This is like fully wet signal. You wanted to do that because you're gonna combine this with the dry signal. And that way you have control over how much of each you're gonna have. And then for delay, we're gonna use Replica XT, which is from Native Instruments. And this is gonna be set to quarter notes. So just a really nice basic delay. And literally with just this verb and delay added, this to me already sounds so much more like a done song.
You want it bad, you do. I know I got you good. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Come with me tonight. Boom, boom, boom. Gotta make it right.
Yeah, it sits a lot better. Mistake number 5. EQ buildup and having lots of it in your tracks. Okay, so what is EQ buildup? Basically, it's when you have too much going on in a certain frequency range. So the range starts to sort of poke. Like you hear just way too much of it. The good news is this is actually super easy to fix. There's a tip for my course called EQ offenders. And we're gonna watch it right now. So how do you recognize an EQ offender? Well, you'll usually hear it. It's this kind of ringing or whistling that sticks out and hurts your ear. Let me play you an example. Ow. You can really hear it right here. It's like a high whistling of sorts. And if you can't fully hear it, it's okay. Over time, you will train your ear to spot these right away. Until then, your best friend is a visual EQ. So let's load up FabFilter Pro Q and let's play this sound again and look at the analyzer. It genuinely hurts my ears. You can see this frequency. It's right there. Yeah, 2.7 hertz or so. We can go ahead and turn this down and let's listen. It's definitely a lot better, but if you pay attention, sometimes this frequency isn't crazy loud. Here it is, and then it goes back down. So maybe we don't want to cut it out all the time. And this is where dynamic EQ comes in. So we're gonna take our cut here and we're gonna put our cursor on the left side of the gain wheel here. And we're gonna start dragging this down until it turns red. So this is our dynamic range. The more you drag it down, the more the frequency is gonna get turned down when it gets too loud. It goes all the way down there, even though our static EQ is still up here. In fact, I can take the static EQ and make it almost non-existent and have it all be dynamic. So yeah, next time you feel like there's something wrong in your track, just run through this checklist and it's probably gonna be one of these 5. Of course, there are many other ways to improve your music, so if you'd like a little help, don't forget to check out my music producer crash course. Here's another video I think you might like, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!